All right, so what we're doing in today's video is I'm going to be giving you all the best, or like my top 10 best Banadir fragrance interpretations, that Banadir fragrance actually makes. And I do have one honorable mention on the list, but basically all of these fragrances, even the honorable mention, I would say are like some of the closest interpretations to the original fragrance that I've smelled so far, really, from any sort of other, inspired fragrance house. All right. So just to get the list started, I'm going to start off with the honorable mention. Honorable mention is going to go to Banadir number 27. This is their take on Oud Maracuja. To me, this is definitely it's closer to Oud Maracuja than what something like Azur Oud is from French Avenue. It definitely is a lot more like beast mode and a lot more stronger than what Azur Oud is. Azur Oud is definitely more kind of toned down and tamed a little bit, whereas this is going to have the same sort of like beast mode projection and loudness that Oud Maracuja has. So if that's something that you like about Oud Maracuja and you feel like you're not getting that same feel with Azur Oud, then I do think that the Banadir version is, definitely going to be, the better interpretation for you. Also, this to me, for the most part, it comes extremely close to the Oud Maracuja. The differences I would say between this and Oud Maracuja are this comes across a little bit more leathery and oudy than what Oud Maracuja does. And Oud Maracuja has a little bit more passion fruit that it holds on to for a little bit longer than what the Banadir number 27 does. I would say the difference is extremely slight. Like you probably would have to smell the two side by side to really notice those differences. I don't think really that anyone would be able to tell the difference in the air necessarily. But this is, like I said, a very, very good interpretation. I don't necessarily need a full bottle of this because, the Oud Maracuja scent profile is just not necessarily something that I like wear on a regular basis. And also, again, with this being as strong as it is, I feel like a 10 ml of this should last a pretty long time. So if you're looking for something that's extremely affordable but really close to Oud Maracuja, I would absolutely recommend Banadir number 27. All right, now for the actual list here, we're going to start the list off with Banadir number 12. So number 12 is their take on Baccarat Rouge 540 EDP. Basically the exact same thing, man. I don't pick up on any differences at all between this and Baccarat Rouge 540. I've worn the two side by side, on skin. I've smelled them on tester strips. On both, I don't pick up on any differences at all. This smells of the exact same quality as what you get with Baccarat Rouge 540 from MFK. It performs basically the same. Like, this is going to stay on you well past 10, 12 plus hours or whatnot. And it is going to be strong to the point where, like, you are going to go nose blind to it a lot of times. But this is, I would say, one of the best Banadir fragrances that you can get, in terms of it being like close to the original. This is definitely one of their closest creations for sure. And I mean, there's tons of other Baccarat Rouge 540 interpretations out there. This to me is this is the best one, both in terms of it being, the closest to Baccarat Rouge 540 and also the price. You have fragrances like the Althair Main Amber Oud Rouge or Amber Oud Ruby. Those fragrances cost more than this and they have less juice and they're not as close to Baccarat Rouge 540 as what this is. So this, for me, I would say would easily be the best one. And again, check out Banadir number 12. All right, next one on the list. This one is Banadir number 2. So number 2 is their take on Parfums de Marly's Althair. Again, this is another extremely close interpretation to Althair. Only difference is in the opening of Althair. I feel like, again, it has a little bit more of that sort of, bergamot freshness that you get in that fragrance. I feel like it's not as fresh in this. In the initial opening for those first couple of minutes, you know, it kind of leans a little bit more into like the vanilla and the spices a little bit more. But basically, this smells like, it smells identical to Althair after like the first 3 to 5 minutes. Same level of quality. I would say that the quality is actually better than French Avenue's Liquid Brune, just slightly, not really that noticeable or that much more, you know, in terms of quality. But when you smell the two side by side, you can tell that this is slightly higher quality than what the French Avenue Liquid Brune is. And I mean, this also performs really well also. So, I mean, you're going to easily get well over 8+ hours with this of total longevity. Really, really good projection for like the first 2 for the most part. And like I said, I mean, this after 5 minutes of Althair is basically from that point on, you know, to the end of the fragrance is the exact same as Althair, man. So this, in my opinion, is the best Althair interpretation that you can find. Again, Banadir number 2. All right, next one on the list, man, is Banadir number 17. So number 17 is Banadir's take on Gris Dior. And really the only other Gris Dior, you know, interpretation that I've smelled so far, believe was Maison Alhambra's Gris. And, you know, that fragrance, smelling it side by side with this, I started to kind of see where Gris definitely, you know, kind of lacked. Definitely Gris, like I would say from like the opening through the mid, Gris is a very, very good interpretation for sure of Gris Dior. But really after that, I started noticing how much Gris started to really kind of like fall apart after that. It really just became like just a really sort of like musky sort of scent after that. And it didn't really maintain a lot of those like stronger notes like the oak moss and stuff like that the way that, you know, this does. This is definitely I would say this is of the same sort of quality as what you're getting with the original Dior, Gris Dior. You know, the bergamot, that really sort of sharp bergamot that you get in Gris Dior is exactly the same as what you get in Banadir number 17. And then, you know, it maintains that throughout the entire fragrance for the most part. You know, you get like the combination of, I believe it's like rose and oak moss for the most part, or it might even be like rose, oak moss, and patchouli that you're getting in that fragrance. This maintains all of that all throughout the entire fragrance, whereas I feel like Gris, after a few hours, it just kind of turns into like a sort of musky sort of scent for the most part. And you're really not getting those like heavier bass notes that you would get in, you know, the original Gris Dior. But yeah, man, this really does smell of much higher quality than what the Maison Alhambra does. And, you know, it lasts a pretty good time as well. So easily over 10 hours is what I get with this fragrance. And really, really strong projection for like 2+ hours. So again, man, I would say this is like for me anyway, it's like a fall, winter time style fragrance. You could even say like early spring as well, just basically when it's a little bit cooler outside. But it does have like a sort of freshness to it as well. So it's not like a super heavy scent. You could say it does kind of come across maybe a little bit on the mature side, for sure. But I do really enjoy this fragrance a lot. And again, man, definitely check out Banadir number 17, man. I would say this is easily like 95+% close pretty much to Dior's Gris Dior. Next one on the list is Banadir's number 22. So 22 is their take on Afternoon Swim. And while this is not exactly like Afternoon Swim, you know, I feel like the citruses in this are definitely more kind of realistic smelling. You know, they're not as cartoonish, you know, as what you get in Afternoon Swim. You're not getting as much of that sort of like musky sort of feeling that you get from Afternoon Swim as well. And I mean, I feel like because of that, because you're getting like slightly more realistic, slightly more brighter citruses, at least for me anyway, I really do like the way that this smells. Now, I do feel like for some people, this may not necessarily work on their skin necessarily. At least for me, it does work, but I have noticed that if I spray this on my skin and I'm not like fresh out the shower, this can come across, the citruses can kind of start to become a little sour. So I would definitely recommend, like, if you're gonna wear this, make sure that, you know, you're fresh out the shower, you've exfoliated your skin, you know, you've washed yourself pretty well, and you'll get the best out of this fragrance, you know, if you routinely do that. But, you know, again, if you spray this on and, you know, you haven't taken a shower in like 7-8 hours or something like that, this may not necessarily smell the best, you know, on your skin if that's the case, man. So this is definitely going to be something that you'll want to wear on clean skin. But it really does smell really good. And like I said, I do actually prefer this over Afternoon Swim for sure. It does perform pretty well on me as well. So easily like around 7 hours or so, with, I would say, pretty good projection for like the first hour and a half or so. All right. So again, man, definitely check out Banadir's number 22. I would say this is about probably 90% close for the most part to Afternoon Swim. All right. All right. Next one on the list. This one is Banadir's number 26. So this is another Louis Vuitton inspired fragrance. This is inspired by Louis Vuitton's L'Immensité. This to me is easily the best L'Immensité interpretation that I've smelled. When you first initially spray this on, you know, for like the first probably 3 to 5 minutes, it's not going to smell like the best L'Immensité interpretation. I will admit that. But like I mentioned before in a previous video, after like that 3 to 5 minute mark, it's like a switch gets flipped in this fragrance, and it just completely turns into the richest, strongest, best smelling version of L'Immensité that I've ever smelled. Even better than the original L'Immensité. When I sprayed this side by side with L'Immensité, like I said, the initial opening 3 to 5 minutes, you definitely are a little bit disappointed with this. You're like, like I just wish the herbs were just a little bit more sweeter and punchier and stronger. But after that 3 to 5 minute mark, you get all of that and more, and this becomes even stronger than what L'Immensité is. This is just, it's really, really good, man. I would say this is definitely better than the Eyenash L'Infinite. You know, before this, I would say the L'Infinite was like the best L'Immensité interpretation that I had smelled. This is even better. It's richer, it's stronger. It, I would say, projects better. It lasts longer. This is, I would say, easily the best L'Immensité interpretation. It is going to give you like the same type of you know, longevity that you get with something like Jean Lo Immortal from Maison Alhambra, but this is going to be much more accurate and much more higher quality smelling than what Jean Lo Immortal is. All right, so really, really good with this, man. I would say this is easily like 97-98% close pretty much to L'Immensité, and it is definitely stronger than L'Immensité is for sure. So I mean, this definitely makes it to where I don't really need to go out and buy a bottle of L'Immensité. This is definitely scratching that itch for me at least. So again, man, definitely check out number 26 from Banadir. All right, next one on the list is Banadir's number 10. And number 10 is, again, another Louis Vuitton inspired fragrance. This one is Pacific Chill. So this is easily the best Pacific Chill inspired fragrance that I've smelled. This was one of the first fragrances that I was sent by Banadir to kind of check out their line of inspired fragrances, and this was one of the fragrances that I was just like, I was genuinely impressed by this. At the time, I had the Maison Alhambra version, the Jean Lo Immortal, or no, Jean Lo Vibe, I'm sorry. And to that point, I felt like that one was kind of like the best one for the most part, in terms of like, smell versus value and price and stuff like that. That one was pretty decent, but this definitely to me blows Jean Lo Vibe out of the water. It's just much closer to the original Pacific Chill. Now, for the first few minutes, this is not, it doesn't have the same sort of it doesn't have the same sort of sweetness that Pacific Chill has. So the way that the fruits come across in Pacific Chill for like the first couple of minutes, they're stronger, they're punchier, they're sweeter. But after like 5 minutes or so, 5 to 7 minutes of Pacific Chill, like that opening, basically this is what Pacific Chill smells like right after that, and all throughout the rest of the fragrance. So you're still getting that really kind of minty, slightly kind of vegetal, slightly, fruity, really kind of like, almost like Pacific Coast, smelling, type of smell. This is extremely good, man. It really is. And I mean, I think that I wish that the opening was a little bit closer to Pacific Chill. I think the opening of Pacific Chill is really, really good. But, again, the rest of the fragrance, after that 5 to 7 minute mark of Pacific Chill, that's basically what you're getting with this. And I really, really enjoy it a lot, man. So for me, this, even with the opening not being exactly the same, is still going to be the best interpretation of Pacific Chill. I get like around 7 to 8 hours of total longevity with this. And I would say I get very decent projection with it as well, at least for about the first hour and a half to 2 hours. So again, man, check out Banadir's number 10. Next one on the list, this one is Banadir's number 13, and this is their take on YSL's YSL-Y EDP. So this is easily the best YSL-Y EDP interpretation that I've smelled. I know obviously you've got the Lattafa version, which is the Fakar Black. This totally blows Fakar Black out of the water. This is definitely a lot closer to to YSL-Y EDP. In my opinion, the opening of YSL-Y EDP is just slightly sweeter than what this is. But this, for the most part, is the exact same experience that you get with YSL-Y EDP. You're getting that same kind of like, you could say slightly kind of herbal, at the same time, slightly kind of bubblegum, sweet, blue fragrance type of smell, really mass appealing. You're getting that with this fragrance. Like I said, the opening of it is just ever so slightly less sweet than what it is in the YSL-Y EDP. But outside of that, I would say after like the first couple of minutes, this is identical to YSL-Y EDP. Extremely good, man. And it lasts a really long time. And I don't go nose blind to this the way that I do YSL-Y EDP. This easily lasts on me well over 12 hours. And it does give you very good projection really the entire time. The projection is definitely its strongest, I would say, probably in the first 2 to 3 hours. But this never really becomes like a super soft skin scent, at least on me, until well after like 8 to 10 hours or so. So this is really, really good, man. I would say for me, this definitely replaces the original. And again, this is at least for me, I would say in terms of closeness, at least about probably 96% closer so to YSLY EDP. So again, man, check out number 13 from Banadir. All right, next one on the list is Banadir's number 1. So number 1 is their take on Absolu Aventus from Creed. And this again is, I would say, easily the best Absolu Aventus interpretation that I've smelled. The only difference that I got between this and the Creed Absolu Aventus was, to me, the pineapple in Absolu Aventus came off a little bit stronger than what I got from this fragrance. Now, I do think that the sample of Absolu Aventus that I have is the 75 ml bottle, whereas I know the 100 ml bottles that they've done, you know, obviously with Creed and their whole Aventus batch variation stuff, the 100 ml bottles, from what I understand, smell slightly different from what the 75 ml bottles did. So I don't really know if this one is closer to the 75 ml or the 100 ml, but like I mentioned, the pineapple in the original Aventus or the Absolu Aventus, to me, was a little bit more stronger and sweeter in Absolu Aventus than what it was in this. But after like probably 5 to 10 minutes or so, this and Absolu Aventus are probably like around 95 to 97% close for the most part. Extremely close. I would say this is definitely closer than Armav's Club de Nuit Peugeot. It's closer than Joe Milano's Game of Spade High Roller. This is definitely the closest interpretation to Absolu Aventus that I've smelled. I don't necessarily feel like I need a bottle of Absolu Aventus. I mean, I do have the original Aventus as well as Aventus Cologne. Maybe I might get a bottle of Absolu Aventus just to have all 3 Aventus bottles, but this, to me, I would say for most people, it's going to be close enough to where you really don't need it. All right. So really, really good performance on this as well. Well over 8 hours of total longevity. Really, really decent projection, I would say, for about the first hour and a half to 2 hours. And again, man, definitely check out Banadir's number 1. All right, so the next one on the list, this one I just have a sample of, but this one is Banadir's number 23. So number 23 is their take on YSL's Babycat. This is hands down easily a 1-to-1 to YSL's Babycat. This is the closest that I've smelled thus far. It's the highest quality that I've smelled thus far. There's no sort of twist on this or variation or deviation from the original. This is exactly YSL's Babycat. Other interpretations I've smelled, like Refaket, has been more vanilla heavy. Ebene from Maison Alhambra, it's definitely a lot more peppery in the initial opening. The Alexandria version, I felt like in the dry down of that one, it was a little bit different as well. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was something a little bit different with the dry down of the Alexandria version. This one, basically, it is like a carbon copy of YSL's Babycat. And I mean, I would say for anybody that wants YSL's Babycat and, you know, they are possibly considering like buying a full bottle of that fragrance for however much it costs, I would say Banadir number 23 completely replaces that fragrance, at least in my opinion anyway. I don't have a full bottle of it, but I don't necessarily wear Babycat a lot, so I feel like this 10 ml decant should last me a pretty decent amount of time. I may get a full bottle of it, I don't know. But I mean, this is, like I said, it is the closest thing that I've smelled to YSL's Babycat. The lasting power on it, or performance, is also very good as well. It's going to be well over 12 hours. And I would say it does project like exactly the same as what Babycat does. In terms of closeness, like This for me would easily be like a 1-to-1, 100%. Like there's no differences at all that I pick up on. This is easily one of Banadir's, closest interpretations. I would say this is right up there with the Baccarat Rouge 540 interpretation, easily. All right, so again, man, check out Banadir number 23. And then the last one on the list, this one is Banadir's number 11. So 11, this one is their take on Dior Savauge. And this is a very good interpretation of Savauge. This is the EDT, as far as what I can tell. And yeah, man, I mean, I get the same sort of feeling that I get from Savauge with this one as well. I would say maybe the opening of Savauge, you could say, is just slightly more sharper than what this is. But I mean, outside of that, like outside of like the first couple of minutes or the first really 30 seconds, you could say, that's really where the differences completely go away. And I would say this is like exactly the same as Savauge. And it has the same sort of strength as like what the older sort of batches of Savauge had, like the original, I believe Savauge came out in like what, 2015, 2016, something like that. Like around that time when Savauge was like really popular and everybody was wearing Dior Savauge, that's what this smells like. It has that same sort of, projection and strength. It smells really good, man. Just a really nice blast of black pepper and bergamot and a ton of ambroxan. This smells really amazing, smells really fresh and clean, fresh out the shower, kind of shower jelly smelling. Really, really good interpretation. I mean, I still enjoy Savauge, so, that's why I have this fragrance. And that's why I still wear it. I know a lot of people are sick of Savauge for sure, but this is definitely a very good interpretation. I would say easily the best Dior Savauge interpretation that I've smelled. So again, man, check out Banadir Fragrances number 11. All right, man, and that is the list, man. That is the best, I would say, from Banadir, my top 10 list from them. Obviously, there are other fragrances as well that Banadir does sell that are also extremely close to the original. So, I mean, there's other fragrances that I also either have samples of or full bottles of that were just as close as some of these fragrances. Obviously, I could only include 10 of them, and like I did have one honorable mention, but I felt like these were definitely the best for the most part from Banadir. So definitely, man, check out all these fragrances. I'll have links in the description to where you can pick all of these up. Let me know if you all have smelled any or all of these fragrances, and if so, what do you all think about Banadir in terms of, their interpretations to the originals? Definitely let me know in the comments. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Sense. I'll see you on the next video.